attention here. All right. Man, look at it go. If I get to know your name.
The Wedding Singer, Adam Sandler's best movie. The actors have incredible chemistry. It's hilarious, it's wholesome, it's charming, it's lovely, and he gets to sing. It's great. Made in 1998, set in 1985. Very interesting. That would be like making a movie about 2015 today. Seems like not enough time has passed. This is a great movie for many reasons, but it's also great because it uses color to show subtext in such a fun, simple way. It's set in the 80s and it uses that to its advantage. So we have a lot of really bright, bold colors. The colors we're going to be talking about today are blue, black, red, white, pink, and yellow. And these colors are used throughout the movie to show relationships between characters and characters' mood and how it evolves. It's fun. It's great. You're going to love it. Okay, so the movie starts off at a wedding, and the colors of the wedding are pink and blue. Robbie is our main character. He's the wedding singer. He's Adam Sandler. He's rocking it. He's bringing the house down. Everybody's having a great time. If bad stuff starts happening, he knows how to dissolve it. He shares a personal anecdote that he's getting married, and that's why he's so happy right now. Everybody loves that he's there. They even have a line where he's just like, "That's a good wedding singer." There's this kid who drinks too much, so he takes him outside to throw up in the dumpster. And when he does that, Robbie is framed with blue signs around the dumpster, and the dumpster itself is blue. And this is where Robbie first meets Julia. Julia is a new waitress at this wedding venue, and she's also engaged. Her waitress uniform is black and white. She's bummed out right now. She's engaged, but she's been engaged for a long time, and her fiance, Glenn, has not set a date yet. She goes outside and sits on the stoop next to the dumpster, and she is framed in red. Interesting. Now we go to Robbie's wedding. Robbie is marrying Linda, and the wedding colors are blue, like blue wisteria. But then, Robbie gets this terrible news that Linda isn't coming to the wedding. And when he gets this news, the camera pans around his face. It starts with him being framed with blue wisteria and ends with him being framed in red brick. So now, we have this little pattern. Happiness, love, camaraderie, blue, pink, sadness, depression, pessimism, red, black, white. Here's the thing. Black and white are used to visually tie people, but they're used in pretty much every circumstance because weddings have a lot of black and white just innately. So keep in mind that there's nuance to that. It's after the wedding. Robbie's at home with his brother-in-law and his friend. His brother-in-law and his friend are sitting in front of a teal window wearing white shirts. Robbie is framed in red, very clearly. Only Robbie's framed in red. Only the two other people are framed in blue. It's scene composition, it's costume design, it's like theming, color theming. It's as if whoever made that decision was like, guys, check this out. This is what I'm doing. Pay attention to these colors. Like if you didn't get it with the pan around his face when Linda leaves him at the altar, it's pretty clear right now in this scene. It's a little bit later. Linda comes to Robbie's house and says like why she didn't come to the wedding. And Robbie is wearing a red shirt. Cool. We love consistency. He spends a lot of time in his room in the basement. His sheets are black and white and he wears a lot of black. And his friend comes over to try to cheer him up and be like, there's a new wedding this weekend. You know, like, you should go. It might cheer you up. You might have a nice time there. So although he's depressed and like barely can get out of bed, he's really run down, you know, scruffy, he decides to go to this wedding. And the wedding is red themed. It's red themed. And he wears a red and black suit jacket. And he sings really sad. He like can't help it. He's very emotional right now. A wedding is not a good place for him. He's mad at everybody there for being happy. He sings Love Stinks, and he gets in a big fight with everybody at the wedding, and the cops are called and all this stuff. After all that hullabaloo dies down, he's hiding in the dumpster, and the dumpster's red. And the blue signs around it are gone. He's really down in the dumps. That's funny. Robbie is like, I quit weddings, I don't want to do them anymore, I'm miserable. Julia's like, but you have to play my wedding though, and I'm having an engagement party and you should totally come. Him and his friend show up at this engagement party. He's wearing a black jacket, his friend's wearing a red jacket. We see Julia and her fiance Glenn, and Julia's wearing a black jacket with a pink dress. Glenn is wearing a pink shirt with a white jacket. Interesting. Bride and groom colors, but also opposite colors. So when we get close-ups, because Robbie and Julia are both wearing black jackets, they're visually tied in contrast with Glenn wearing his white jacket. Fun, fun, fun. Are we foreshadowing? Yeah, we are. So Robbie decides, I'm not going to go to any more weddings. I'm going to just do bar mitzvahs. So he's at this bar mitzvah. The colors of the bar mitzvah are blue and white. And normally we were seeing like this pattern of his suit jackets like matching the wedding, but this time it doesn't. He wears his black and red jacket still. And there's this boy, and he's sitting alone, and he's like, I'm a loser, nobody wants to dance with me. And then Robbie's like, bruh, why would you want to dance with someone that doesn't want to dance with you? Like, you're cool. You know, don't be so down on yourself. Robbie sees this boy as a proxy for himself. His ex-fiance told him that he was essentially a loser for being a wedding singer, and he has to learn this lesson that, like, it's okay to be yourself, you know? So he tells Julia, like, hey, can you dance with this kid? Tell everybody how much he's not a loser. Dance with him in front of everybody. So Robbie goes and sings. Midway through the song, he takes off his red jacket to just be wearing a white shirt. So we see that he's starting to perk up. He's perking up in the plot. He's bonding with Julia. They're becoming more friends. They're getting to know each other better. They're making little jokes together. And then visually, we see that he's cheering up. 2, Julia comes up to Robbie and is like, Glenn's not going to help me plan this wedding. I need some help, because Robbie has given some advice because he just planned his. So at first he's like, nah, that's weird. I don't want to help you plan your wedding. But then she's like, please, like, I don't want to be scammed. She says, I don't want to pay a bunch of money for a half-eaten wedding cake. Like, you already know everything. And so he agrees. They go see this wedding photographer, and she's wearing a bright pink jacket. And then we have a montage of them doing all the wedding planning, getting the cake, getting the limo, getting the wedding dress, and there's an increasing amount of pink. Like, there's pink background during wedding dress shopping. They wear like pink shirts, things like that. After all of this, Robbie's sitting in the car with his friend, and they notice that Julia had left her jacket in the car. And Robbie is wearing a yellow shirt. Ooh, a new color. A new color? Okay. Julia is at home with her cousin Holly, and they're discussing the first kiss for the wedding. This is a little bit strange of a plot, but it leads to Robbie and Julia's first kiss, because Holly wants to see Julia, like, what the kiss might look like. At Holly and Julia's house, there's a lot of purpley pink and yellow, like yellow salt shakers and flowers and things like that. They're surrounded by like yellow and pink when they kiss. Interesting, yellow and pink. There's one thing that doesn't quite align. In this scene, like right as Robbie's leaving, Glenn comes in, he's wearing like a teal shirt. I don't know how that fits in. Glenn kind of wears whatever. He's kind of more there to contrast than he is to align with this color schematic. So it's not 100% consistent, but we press on. Holly sees the chemistry between Julia and Robbie and is like, I want that. And so she's like, I think we should go on a double date. I should date Robbie, and, you know, Julia's with Glenn. And Julia's like, okay. And they go on this double date. Robbie and Glenn are both wearing black jackets at this double date, but Robbie is wearing a blue shirt and Glenn's wearing an orange shirt. Both Julia and Holly are wearing black and white. I like that. I like that contrast that Glenn has. And this is when we find out that Glenn's like a really scummy guy who's been cheating on Julia. So like, we really see that contrast with the colors too. Holly and Robbie are talking after this double date, and Holly kisses him, and Robbie's not really into it and expresses his distaste and dissent for Glenn. He like doesn't like him. Holly explains that Julia's only with him for security because he makes a lot of money in the city. Really, Holly doesn't really approve of Glenn either, kind of thing. And that's her only reason she can come up with why Julia's with him. Robbie has gotten this stance from a few people that he cares about that his job is just not good enough. He doesn't make enough money. Like, he's too charitable. He's not a good partner. We have this other character, Rosie, who he gives singing lessons to.
Oh, you're such a sweet boy, letting an old woman take you with meatballs.
Oh yeah, well, they taste so good, it's like I'm ripping you off, Rosie.
And she wears a lot of pink, and her house is really pink, and she's really, really in love with her husband. They're celebrating, I think, their 50th anniversary, so she's learning a song to sing for him. And Rosie is this pillar of what Robbie wants. This long-term love, this deep love where you can grow old together, and Julie has also expressed that that's what she wants too. Rosie and her husband exemplify that and are surrounded by pink. After Holly tells Robbie that he doesn't make enough money, essentially, he decides to go get a job in the city at a bank. And we have a huge contrast. The bank is lots of earth tones. It's very brown. He's wearing a suit that's like gray or brown. He fits in there, but it's a big difference from the rest of the movie because he's out of his element. He isn't like this. He's really only there for the money, for what he thinks he needs to provide for people. It's not him. It's not his personality. It's not where he's thriving. And so we see that through the colors of it's all muted and brown and sad. Robbie gets back home from this job interview and sees that Julia is waiting for him. And she has a gift. It's a bunch of paper wrapped in red ribbon. He confronts Julia and says that she's only with Glenn for security, and they get in a fight, and she throws the paper in the air and it gets everywhere. And so we have this really stark red ribbon for this fight. I like that. It's just little, but it's fun. Robbie goes and hangs out at a bar and he's depressed again. It's a red and black bar. In the meantime, Julia has realized that she is in love with Robbie, and Robbie has realized that he's in love with Julia. She's trying on her wedding dress in a big window in her home. Robbie is walking up at night. He's wearing all black. He's rehearsing what he's going to say. He's going to confess his love to her, but then he sees her in all white and all light. She's up on the second floor inside her home with bright lighting and a white wedding dress, and he's on the street at night in all black. Robbie notices how happy she seems. But unbeknownst to him, she's actually really happy because she's just rehearsing saying that she's going to marry Robbie instead of Glenn, and that's what's making her act so happy. But he sees that she's so happy, and he goes home drunk and sad. Linda comes up and is like, I want you back, and goes into his house. The next day, Julia comes over to Robbie's house to confess her love for him, but then Linda answers the door. And Linda's like, go away, like, we're back together. And she's wearing black. Seeing this, Julia goes home, she wakes up Glenn, and she's like, let's get married today. Let's go to Vegas, let's go get married today. And Glenn's like, yeah, great, let's do it. Let's hit it. Robbie explains to Linda, like, I do not want to be with you. Like, why are you here? Like, I was just really drunk, like, leave me alone. Stands up for the fact that he is a wedding singer, and he doesn't want to change that. He doesn't want people to have to live with that. It's Rosie's anniversary party. She's singing to her husband. It's all pink. Great. And he sees the correlation between Rosie and Julia, that this older couple has been together and they're so in love. And then, so that sparks him to go after Julia. But then he finds out that they're on their way to Vegas. So he gets on a flight to Vegas to stop the wedding. Classic rom-com. And turns out they're on the same flight. And this is where we get a little funny. Robbie indicates to Julia that he's on the flight and confesses his love through song. But he's framed in red, which is strange to me. But he does leave that area and go up to Julia. So maybe it's supposed to be some sort of transition, like a mental transition, like he was in the red zone and then goes to Julia. And that's all I can think of as the purpose for that. But that seems a little off because he's singing the love song framed in red, and that's not consistent. And all I can think of is, like, maybe they got a bad set and they couldn't get a better plane set with a different color, but that's can't be right. So it must be some sort of transition thing, or they I don't know. Maybe they thought of the color thing midway through and forgot to reshoot. Who knows? But that's not consistent with the color thing. It gets back to consistent because Robbie and Julia kiss and then they're at their wedding and their wedding color is yellow. So all of the little hints along the way of all the increasing yellow leads to their yellow wedding. And I talked about a few scenes. There's a few scenes I didn't talk about too, but this color thing is pretty consistent throughout and just shows contrast between characters, shows connection between characters, just links them visually. You don't even have to think about it. You could watch the movie for the plot and not notice any of these things, but then when you do notice, you're like, wow, look at those details. They add so much. They're so fun. It's so simple yet so effective. I think this use of color to indicate emotion, change, and growth and connection between characters is such a good, simple tool to use to just enhance your projects. I think these things are often forgotten because they're subconscious, right? Like, if you're new to making movies, if you're new to visual art, performance art, there's so many subconscious things and subconscious choices to make that change how the audience perceives your work, right? So if you see a work and you're like, it looks good, but I feel nothing. Maybe the colors are wrong. And that's something that, you know, you might never think about. And that's why I love analyzing movies and seeing how to make them more rich and more deep and more meaningful, just instantly by adding these color contrasts, changing the shot composition, changing the blocking between characters and objects, things like that where it's not literal plot, it's subtext. And it's so cool. It's so fun. And also this movie is just so much fun. It's so funny and the character chemistry is so good. It's just so wholesome. I don't know if this comes off as I'm saying that this is high art because they use color. But this is just a really good example of the use of color very simply to impact emotion, to supplement how they want a scene to feel, showing a character arc, showing connections. So yeah, very, very fun. I love The Wedding Singer. It's so good. Of course, there's like kind of goofy bits. When you watch older movies, you see some stuff and you cringe a bit. It has a couple of those, but honestly, way less than a lot of Adam Sandler movies. And I'm not making excuses for that, I suppose, but if you go and watch the movie and you're like, why wasn't I warned? It's Adam Sandler. I don't know. There's things in there. I don't know, did that bring the vibe down? Okay, well, I've been Minty, and you've been you. And I hope you learned a little bit about color and subtext and how to make a fun movie. Yeah! Okay, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
You hit 2 cones. Those could have been people. Those could have been guests at her wedding.
They were cones.